We're about to begin the services for Mrs. Donna Lyn Price. If any of you have a cell phone or any other noise-making device, we request that you please turn them to the off position. Additionally, we'd ask everyone to please social distance if you're not members of the same family. Officiating today will be Rabbi Karen Kadar, Cantor Jennifer Frost of Congregation B'nai Joshua Beth Elohim. The sign language interpreter is Ms. Bonnie Klaas.
We are so sorry for your loss. It is profound, made more tragic by the circumstances in which we're assembling. Though it seems to you that this sanctuary is empty, I want to tell you that it is full. It is full and filled with the hearts and souls and prayers of thousands of people. And just beyond that screen are your people, barely breathing, holding you in prayer. Mourning is a solitary moment, and that is really, really felt right now in this moment. And yet it is also communal. And so we are holding you all up as one community as you walk your path. We say with the psalmist, and for those of our friends who are watching Bonnie as she makes clear what it is that we want to say, everything I say in Hebrew is then translated and signed. Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. My help comes from God, who is the maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. The 23rd Psalm.
Adonai roi lo aksar binot deshe yarbitzeini al mei menuchot yenaleini nafshi yashover yancheini v'magelei tzedek. Yanecheni v'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech megeit al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishanetecha heima yanachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai, lefanai, shulchan neged sorai, dishanta vashem roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai, meshaveti beveit Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar. Adonai roi lo echsar.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When you are weary and in need of strength, you will remember her. And when you are lost and sick at heart, you will remember her. When you have joys you yearn to share, you will remember her. As long as we all live, she will live too, because we will always remember her. In the book of Job, it says, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach yehi shem Adonai mevarach, which means God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. An ancient people were well acquainted with grief and the valley of shadows, death, and sorrow and tragedy are not strangers to us. And this is what the centuries have taught us, that a good name endures beyond the grave. And she had a good name. And faith gives us strength. So now we say with Job, Adonai Natan, God, you gave us a loved one who will never be forgotten for all that was good and enduring in her life. We offer the deepest thanks of our heart. Adonai Lakach, and God, you have taken away. So we pray for strength, so our broken hearts can turn into an altar of trust, and we will be able to say, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach, blessed is the name of God, now and forever. It is great honor when our loved ones stand up to praise our name. So I'd like to invite Becky up to say a few words on behalf of the family.
This is really hard. And it's made even harder by the fact that I've never written a speech or essay that Mom didn't edit and improve. So bear with me. Our mom was the best. She brought so many people together between crafting and hockey, snappers and a hee-haw, theater, the synagogue. She simply made it happen. Her drive, her energetic spirit, and her leadership got results. And she was the ultimate facilitator. She had a creative idea, and she taught others to find their own inner artist and create. She interpreted to sign language and made the world accessible to so many, and taught our childhood music classes to do the same. Through producing and set and prop design, she turned a script into a show. She and Lauren loved to share cooking and feed others. And when she was sick, she sat at the counter coaching us through the recipes while we did the dirty work. And now, she's our connection to Ha'olam Haba. We know this because on Thursday, twice the lights flashed and bulbs burnt out. And again, since we wrote this, on Thursday morning, Friday morning, we ate donuts for breakfast, and the power in the whole house flashed and the internet went out. Then we missed a turn en route to dinner with family, and getting back on track took us past not only the funeral home where she was resting, but her childhood home in Skokie. So thanks, Mom, for that. Everything she did with her fullest passion and commitment. She stepped in to cover for a friend to interpret a deaf hockey school event and stayed for over 30 years. Not only did she teach hard of hearing students, she volunteered to coordinate Exceptional Children's Week to celebrate them and thousands of others. She found a hotel she and Dad wanted to stay at, but not just any hotel. It was 7 miles all uphill on foot to get to the front door. She flew into Boston to see my shows and ended up taking down the set and running strike. And when we went to New York, we waited in line for hours, bonding with fellow theater goers to get the best prices and seats. She convinced Lauren that it would be okay to follow her dream with a career change, and me to craft the entirety of my wedding by hand, with her help, of course. Nothing halfway. And she was so caring. She volunteered, donated her time and money, took crew kids under her wing, and she always took such great care of Dad and Lauren and I, and now Greg, teaching us to honor others while staying independent. And she wanted so badly to be a grandmother, and she would have been the greatest. In the last few months, she learned to crochet to make her future grandchildren a baby blanket, and she almost finished it. In the end, in the very last minutes, she waited until we said goodnight and stepped out of the room to take her last breath with just her sweetie, my dad, at her side. We hadn't even left the parking lot, but she cared enough to give Dad and her a final date on the eve of their 37th wedding anniversary and to protect us. So it makes perfect sense that when Mom got diagnosed in March of 2020, the world stopped. She wasn't missing theater because shows were canceled and theaters were dark. Travel ceased to exist, and we all quarantined. And everything from services here to play readings to classrooms to hikes were set up to be received right from her recliner with Comet at her feet. She did so much for all of us. And despite the hand she was dealt, she kept a positive attitude and fought as her fierce and stubborn self. True to her position on the ice, she played defense to her body's betrayal. She touched a lot of people's lives, and it became clear in the outpouring of cards, gifts, emails, texts, and support and blankets that came over the last few months. It took us 2 full days to go through her contact list, which she kindly starred and sorted and annotated for us just a few weeks ago, to notify her friends, mentees, and loved ones. And even in her life, which ended much too fast, she gave us so much, and she'll always be here. In the dimming of the theater lights, in the spray of the ice, in the creative inspiration, and in the glue, and in us, and in all of you. Thanks, Mama, for being you.
Perfect. She'd want you to take a breath right now. And she'd want you to be proud of the bravery of her family. So, I don't know, do you remember when in the olden days and we were young, we used to ask the question, do you believe in love at first sight? And the world would divide in half, oh, no, you got to get to know a person. And then there are people who would say, and they were a minority, no, I actually believe in love at first sight. Well, this was love at first sight. Mark was living in the city. I hope I got this right as you were talking about the way in which you met and the twists and turns. Donna was dating your friend. Donna had a friend that they were going to fix up with you, Arlene. The 4 of you went to dinner, and you and Donna just clicked. Just clicked. Talking, chatting. Arlene, you know the story for sure better than I do. I imagine you and the other friend, who continues to be nameless, did not feel part of the dinner at all. And as ironic foreshadowing would have it, apparently Mark and Donna had gone to the same grade school, and took a while for them to orb. So after the date, Donna asked you, so what did you think of him? And the way they told the story is you said, there you go, you said it with me, Well, Arlene, what do you think of him now? A devoted, incredible, beautiful husband to your close friend. Do you mind if we date? No, not at all. Go ahead. The words that set destiny into being. And you dated fiercely for about a week and a half. And then she had things to do and places to be. So she went off to Portland at Lewis Clark to get her master's in school counseling, and you did not give up on her at all. You wrote her poems and took the Sunday comic strips and whited out the words and put in your own words. You took puzzles and had missing pieces. Later, ask him about those puzzles. You had visits where you had a client and, I don't know, somehow that became a stopover. Skiing. And after a fateful trip to Florida, you just decided that was enough when became engaged, and she transferred to Northeastern, and you were married, and you lived across from the zoo, and you could see into the seal tank and hear their screaming and chatter at night, and somehow that all seemed perfect. And there was Becky, and there was Lauren, and you were a family. We sat around the table the other day, and I looked into the girl's eyes, and I said, what was it like to be her daughter? And just exactly in perfect synergy. One said, awesome, and the other said, amazing, and I don't even remember which said which. Awesome, amazing. And both of you said almost simultaneously, we had a great childhood. Imagine being Donna Price's kid when it was time to do a science fair. She was your homework partner, as you said. This is the first essay you wrote without her checking, and you did beautifully. She was the stagehand. Stage crew was a family affair. She was crafter and theater. You made props and built the set and act, and you were backstage, and that's where the magic happened. Where did the magic happen? The magic happened where the Price family was. But not that you were inclusive at all. You were exclusive, not that you were exclusive, you were inclusive, bringing everybody in under the wings of their beauty and their magic. I loved your descriptions of the trips to New York, which you touched on very briefly, but I imagine the two of you standing out in the lines, freezing cold. You described the hot pads in your mittens and maybe in your feet, in the bottom of your feet, looking for Dunkin' Donuts, Donna always getting lost, bagels, trying to cheat the lotteries and the lines by seeing where you could get the less expensive ticket. Lauren and Mark at sports camp, Becky and Donna in theater. Your whole family seemed to, in generations, do that kind of hopscotch, where one was in science and one was in education. But I think that Mark and Donna kind of were in both worlds. It is a scientific thing to build. It is a mathematical thing to make art into beauty. We all know about her crafting, teaching the world to make beauty, drawing the creativity out of the hearts and souls of the small children. You can do it. Make something beautiful in this world. I can't think of a better life passion than teaching a person, particularly a child, that what they have inside of them is beautiful and they can manifest it into the world. It's birthday parties, tiles on the walls of our Gemilut Chassidim Center. When we went to build the school, Mark and Donna said, well, we've got a project. We can make this happen. And took the children of the religious school and created art, which is now in the Center for Acts of Loving Kindness. That's where it stands. That room is dedicated to acts of loving kindness. I think I got this right. She showed up to hockey camp and figure skates. I'm looking at Carol Gaines. And they laughed at her, of course. So she put on hockey skates, of course. And then hockey became another one. I must have asked 3 times, hockey? You mean ice hockey? Hockey became one of her great, great passions. And the way it's always been described to me, Carol, through you and through Donna, is that you all have a sisterhood, I think spanning probably about 40 years, the young, the old. You all are a team. And in fact, you will have a tribute of your own, as only a team can. She and Mark designed what we call Studio 1201, an arts and crafts dream, a big maker space, and then donated many of the arts and crafts supplies that, though it's been a few years now, generations are taking advantage of. Wandering into the deaf community was another passion that she had. She apparently knew people in her younger years, interpreting at a Catholic school, being called Miss Donna as opposed to Sister so-and-so. And then there was the wedding. I talked to her just before you embarked, and I said, wait a minute, you're going in a what to get to where? I actually couldn't even believe that the doctors clear her. And I got to tell you, Mark, when I'm thinking about it, and you were telling the story, and you weren't allowed to be in many of the doctor's offices, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually didn't clear her. That she just said, oh, no, I'm good to go. Driving in that trailer, in that camper, to get to your wedding. Having, of course, made the chuppah out of her own wedding dress and Mark's bar mitzvah talit. Having already made the bouquet of flowers. All that was missing was her. But as time would have it, she stayed at St. James Medical Center in the loving care of the most compassionate people who understood the theme of your wedding, making lemonade out of lemons, and showed up not depressed and not sad for her, but in celebration with her, so that she could be by your side, the hair, the makeup. This is a story that you'll tell for your whole life, you and your family, but I want to say something right now. First, this is the story that epitomizes her courage, her optimism to the future. I can do this, even though I'm sure somewhere inside her, she probably knew she couldn't. Her courage, her optimism, and her tenacity. Courage, optimism, and tenacity. That's your legacy. And you know what Donna and Mark taught us in that moment? Love wins. Love wins. We met back in the JLC to tell the story of Donna's life on your actual anniversary date. She had sold the business, called it retirement, became physically strong and fit, changed her eating habits. She was at the top. We don't know what life is going to bring us. We don't know when death is going to find us. The crocheting of that baby blanket, which will be finished, because that's how you roll. And you were there, always there, present, telling stories, looking at pictures, whether you had to sneak in or crowd in. You were not going to leave her alone, and you did not, and she was not alone. And you girls, you said, goodbye, I love you. And she said, I love you. And it was just the two of you, Mark, when she took her last breath. And that was right. Everybody knows it. And as you said, Broadway is dark, and the sukkah that you two designed, along with the Millers and other congregants here, did not go up this year. But as you told me, and I will tell it back to you right now, the Price family works at a level above. Hard work, go for it, make it happen. Never hold back. Stay to the very end. Strike the set, even when it's not yours. Be brave. Be brave. Family is there for you in all its expression and noise and openness. Be there for one another. This loss is so incredibly sad and tragic, and love wins. Love is stronger than anything that is happening to you now. And though you are working to find your equilibrium, you will find your equilibrium, because that's how you roll. And you will remember and quote her and tell the stories of her optimism, of her courage, of her tenacity, and you will live your life the same way. May her memory be for a blessing, and it already is. Please rise.
שוכן במרומים, עמסי מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת דבורה גיטל בת יצחק, שלחה לעולמה, ועל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו, לעולמים בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen.
Which means, compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Donna, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, as we all say. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated.
This concludes our service here in the chapel keep all safe. The cemetery service will be private. Following the interment, the family will be sitting Shiva, located in your folder. Shiva will take place at the Price Residence, 1423 Rosewood Avenue, Riverwoods, Illinois, 60015. Sunday today and Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. Please note, it will be outdoors and masks will be required. Tuesday, there will be a virtual Shiva available. Beginning on Wednesday and Thursday at the Rubinstein Residence, 9437 North Hamlin in Evanston. Outdoors and masks will also be required from 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. Please call Mrs. Tamar Rubinstein to schedule a time to attend, 312-518-3369. For those of you who are going in procession with the family to the cemetery, primarily family, please make sure you obtain an orange funeral safety sticker. The sticker should be placed in the front passenger side of your windshield. We would ask that you have your bright headlights and flashing hazard lights on at all times. For an additional measure of safety, our staff will be placing magnetic flags on the top of the vehicles throughout the procession. As we drive in procession today, please drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you. It is raining outside. Everyone should take special care not to utilize your cellular phones. We want to avoid any large spaces or gaps in the procession, particularly as we go through the intersections. The following individuals have been selected to serve as pallbearers: Michael Tuber, Neil Price, Greg Smith, Elizabeth Becker. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please rise as Mrs. Price, her family, Rabbi Kadar, and Cantor Frost are escorted from the chapel. I would ask the pallbearers to please step forward. Pallbearers, ask you to please come.